It's Kid Charlemagne back. Today we're discussing Joni Mitchell's Clouds. I think this was released in '69. I do have the physical copy here, which is important, but Clouds, title, just a simple word, something we see every day, hardly think about, just a dense mass of condensed water waiting to overflow, just like how she is a visible entity of condensed emotions that overflow into her music. But no, we'll come back to the title track on the last song. The cover, though, I think it's one of the most beautiful covers ever. It's one of my favorites. She's just gorgeous, on fire, amazing self portrait. And when you go outside, it's white and blue, but here it's yellow, it's red, it's orange. And it really works well in the layering, this color palette with the hair, how she paints her face, the colors here, and then it kind of just highlights those lips, those colored eyes, and I like how the face is kind of just a face, and then it's not really a body. These are just trees. So this lily, don't remember what exactly it's called, but I believe it's local to where she grew up in Canada. So I also love how it's like a perfect blend between kind of those like photographic like paintings that look more like photograph, not a painting. How did someone do that? And then those impressionist portraits, because with that impressionist stuff, you really got to squint to see what the painter's even doing. This just has a real artistic touch to it. I love it. My first impressions with these, I've heard these albums before. So not true first impressions, but what I do try to express here is kind of just the initial feelings I get through listening to the album in one go. I find this to be one of the greatest sophomoric albums ever. It shows, it really leaps from that predecessor. It reminds me of Dylan's Freewheelin', and with this, I think she greatly evolves musically here, lyrically and vocally too. She starts to do more. But I mean, the themes and subjects, I don't think they're remarkably different, and there's a bit more personal nature to them, and a greater maturity that gets shown, which I kind of connect a lot to. But musically, it is stripped down to but it's just not a record full of that guitar fondling. We get some strumming that we'll find soon, but the first track is Tin Angel. It kind of follows a bit of a similar formula to I Had a King Once, just in how there's some more kind of that medieval romanticism, a reflection of love's memories, the Golden Prince, the Columbines and wizardry, talk of castles in the sun. But just to go back quickly to the music, um, I think you get this distinct shift right off the bat. It's not too stark, but it's just enough to when you're listening to Seagull and Clouds together, you can really notice the difference here. And obviously, I mean, two different albums, they'll have two different sounds, but I mean, I just like to highlight that in her going just from her first to her second album. And then, because, like, I mean, when you listen to like the King song and then this song, it's just that fondling to the strum. And I know Steven Stills plays guitar and bass on this album. Don't know which specific tracks. I could not find that. But lyrically, I think I know I mentioned it's doing a little of the same formula like I Had a King Once. And I do prefer that song. I think it has a better kind of rhythm and melody going there. But what I do love here is kind of how she lets the music play in tandem with her voice. There's no overcompensating. She does none of that. She, like she was doing on the last album, she kind of lets her voice rise with the music and fall with the music. And back to kind of relationship with the I Had a King Once, while it is following a similar thematic formula, this feels more like a come down from the life of contempt she was living in that song. Um, she's out of that life. She's over it. She's over it. She still has the memories and letters from the sea, but she knows that the life is over. It's a sorrowful song, but she's still a woman with hope. She's still a woman who has that ounce of love in her, and she's placing that in a tin angel in that knight in shining armor who she sees in that Bleecker Street cafe. And once she puts that hope in that night, it lights up, it comes to life. She's taking another chance in life. I don't think it's one of the best tracks on the album, but it's a very solid opener. There's a lot of great imagery, especially in like the first two stanzas. Just I think just that detail of like roses dipped in sealing wax, um, valentines and maple leaves. We know what maple leaves are, especially being placed in New York City. But no, yeah, it's a good opening. Don't think there's a lot of remarkable stuff going on in lyrics, but that's okay. The next track, Chelsea Morning, I love this one. I think it's one of the best on the albums. It's kind of just a simple like 2.5 minute jingle jangle strumming little track. It sounds lovely. There's no like melodic brooding going on. It's just got a nice upbeat feel to it, and I mean, just the opening stanza. I love the blunt imagery to it, and I think there's more of it in in the rest of the track. But what she says with the first thing that she hears, a song outside the morning, traffic that writes the words, that comes up ringing like Christmas bells, wrapping up like pipes and drums. I love how she like speaks on kind of what Dylan and Cohen would say about music, how it kind of would just come to them. Everything is all out there, these songs. I think Bob said like Blown in the Wind, someone would have written that song if he didn't. But he just took it from the world. And that's kind of what she is saying here. She wakes up, she looks outside her window, everything is there for her taking. I love that imagery that you can just hear. And then with the hook of the chorus, won't you stay and put on the day, wait till the night comes. It's the Tin Angel. He's the new boy toy. She wants him to stay. She's forever full of hope and longing, and this is kind of just that sustained fairy tale that she's living, and it's just 2.5 minutes, and I mean, there's just no sorrow in the song. It's just a song full of ecstasy, owls, incense. And even when we get to nighttime, and the curtain closes. There's owls, there's incense candles, jewel light, and if the Tin Angel will only stay, the night will go on forever. It's a great track, jumping from the first to the second one. Very filmic and scenic. Definitely one of the best on the albums. I don't know where I stand. I promise I won't try to follow this album like it's some connected story. One could. I might be lying right now, but I mean, I think this one's very touching. It beautifully depicts the conflicts of love. I love this person, but how can I show it in a way that's not kind of showing my hand? Because I don't know how this other person really feels. I mean, it's a funny and sunny day. The morning is like a dream. She's dressed in flowers. She's writing "I love you" in her finest hand, but she just can't do it over the phone. I think it's a very good track. I think maybe it works better in kind of the tandem of the album rather than just something on its own. Just in kind of how short and like narrow and focused it is, it works much better conceptually, in my opinion. Something about the midway. This is kind of that. This song is why that anxiety of how she doesn't know where to sing. This is why the previous song exists. This is why she can't say "I love you" because that guy out there is out cheating on her. There's this I love the angst in the song. It doesn't really show in her voice. I don't think she really does that a lot, but it's not something she like needs to do because she did lyrics. But yeah, it's like not that's not a slight because the singing is great. But kind of when you do read those lyrics, you get that slight, you get that anger, and you get that angst. And but it's really the disappointment. I think when you get to the end of the song, that really trumps the anger. I don't I don't have too much on this track. I think it's good. I like it, but I think it's just really clear. Just reading the lyrics and what she's trying to say, it's very pointed. But that's the point. I mean, it's a very clear song. It's kind of very direct in who it's talking to and what it wants to say. Next, Roses Blue. This one kind of reminded me of Marcy from the last album. I like this song a lot. I do. Not because, I mean, I don't have like the greatest read on it, but it the way it comes off with her voice and that ringing mandolin in the background, it has a very haunted feeling to it. And I mean, there are some lines that you can really kind of point out, even though I don't. I wish I had like a better read on this and who the she is that kind of either she's talking to, whether it's herself, someone else. You get that same feeling in Marcy, but there are some lines you get that little haunting feel. I don't know, the Zodiac, the Zen tarot cards. That's kind of none of my business, but it's a great track just to listen to for me. Someone else out there will tell you much more about it. On to the second side, The Gallery. I think this is a real standout on the album. The hook or the chorus or whatever, and how she uses kind of a second track of her voice to raise tempos. It's a very lovely touch too. And that hook, the Lady Don't Love Me Now, very hard not to sing along. I was listening to this one on repeat in the past week. It's amazing how she inflects too on the word the cruel when she says you said I can be and then crew and then L. I'm not gonna sing for you, but just listen to the way she does it. It's a great culmination, I think, of the whole first side of the record and all the songs that came before it. With the words then switching in the chorus, like the voices and the perspectives in the song they switch because initially when you read that hook, she feels like kind of like insecure, maybe unsure of things. She loves someone who doesn't love her, and that person is telling her that he can be cruel and he does not really love her. And he's telling you, don't fall for me. I mean, we can be together, but don't fall for me. But then in the final stanza, as things have poof gone to close, she says she takes away those quotation marks about I can be cruel, but let me be gentle with you. But she kind of stands up for herself, removing those quotations and saying, no, it's me. I can be cruel to you, but I'll be gentle with you. I'll let you down. I will let you down. But no, it's a very great song. No, I mean it's something where there's like a lot of anger and scorn. I think you can get out of it that like it's similar to our favorite Dylan song. So I think that's part of why I was really drawn to this one. But I think I understand the seventh song on the album. It's happy. This is a happy International Women's Day song, very triumphant, rolling, robbing blackness blind, tasting sunlight, forgetting but not disregarding fear, challenging troubled minds with flashes from a brighter time. It sounds like like a fucking psychiatrist on the song. No, but no, it's a great song. I love how like calming her voice is on this. It's very fine poetry, but unfortunately, that chorus, that hook, I think I understand. Fear is like a wilderland, stepping stones or sinking sand. No, it. I think it tears the song apart. You could just leave it as I think I understand. Repeat that 2 more times. There's your chorus. I think it just kind of undermines the rest of the stanzas because it's just too. It feels like someone wrote the verses and the much worse writer wrote the chorus. Like, I, it's not telling you anything really new here. That chorus that isn't already being expressed in the song. But I mean, it's not the worst track on the album. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, but just weak standing amongst the others. Songs to aging children come. I don't really care for this one that much. Mostly in sound, the high pitched affectation she's doing, and choosing, and then with those low guitar, like feeling the wailing of it. It sounds like a lullaby. I don't really like this song, but I mean that's all the sound. I do like. I think there are actually is something interesting being touched on the lyrics with the kind of going back to I think Chelsea Morning when we were talking about how she can find the music in the world and how it just comes to her, and it's not like her, Dylan, and Cohen aren't just super touched individuals. They're able to tap into something in the outer world. And here I feel like I get this theme here too, how she is like an aging child hearing songs of the galaxy, the moon strumming the galaxy for her to hear, the dying roses and their perfumed rhapsodies that spark into her nose. Great final stanza there. Now the fiddle and the drum. On the first listen, it's kind of like, why is this song here? Where is the music? I'm just listening to this woman's voice. Do we really need this? But I guess it's when you read the lyrics, I guess it's more topical, like political type song about America that she's going for. Overall, it's pretty interesting to read through, and the progression of it, and how it kind of starts with like a more scornful tone, like and a little condescending too, like just in the way she sings it, how you come to trade the fiddle for the drum and then trade the handshake for the fist, kind of like she's talking to like a little brother or something, someone she kind of doesn't take as seriously. But then in the final 2 stanzas, when she mentions like America by name, it does kind of come off a bit more fearful, and a bit more daunting. So I do like at least how the song progresses. But yeah, no, it's because I know she spoke about how she was a Canadian, goes to America to live, and so when she would go away overseas, everyone would think she's American, but no, I'm Canadian. They're like, no, that's the same. So certainly some inspiration to be found for her in her relationship to America and how she feels and what she sees going on in the world. So there's your song. Finally, okay, we get to the what I've finally been waiting for. Both Sides Now. This is one of like her most popular songs ever, and I think it's something we'll come back to in later songs and albums. Kind of those big popular songs that like well, is it as good at advertise? Are there deep cuts that better? But for this one particularly, I think this is one of her best songs ever. Definitely as good as advertised. And first, though, I wanted to bring up Andrei Tarkovsky's film, Andrei Rublev, which is, I think, the greatest film made about an artist, most spiritual film ever made. But it was just really his second film he ever made, and just as this was her second album, and it's featured on her second album, something so mature and personal to her. And I'm not saying that um, artists have never I mean, a lot of artists do have their greatest work right away, and but just with what she's been speaking about on this album, I think it's really interesting to look at in perspective with Rublev, that film, and how spiritual that is and mature that is. Because more specifically, the last section of that film was called the Bell or the Bell Tower, and it's about this young man who's commissioned to build a bell tower for this small town, and it's a very strenuous journey, and he's very determined to do it, and he eventually succeeds. But the whole time, it's kind of being observed by the character Andrei Rublev, who we followed for the past 2.5 hours, and now we're just with him watching this kid. And to me, it reads as Tarkovsky's an older version of Tarkovsky watching his younger self struggle through the and the plights of being a filmmaker and working in Russia and all that. And so, but it kind of strikes me as all that, even though it was just his only second film. He had a ton of other stuff that happens in his career. So. It's very, I don't know, it's just incredibly mature and personal for two people who kind of made these masterworks at just such a young age, and how they're able to tap into something like that. Because I don't know, if I watched that movie without knowing who he was, I would have thought it was someone in their 60s or 70s who made it. But no. But I think, and it also speaks to my point, because she re-records this song for an album. I think that came out in the 90s, so it's certainly lived on. It's a very timeless song. But to the song itself, she once introduced it as Clouds, so it's kind of like the title track, and it's broken into kind of two halves. The first discussing clouds figuratively, of course, in the sense for life. Feather canyons and ice cream castles, things that you see and you think they're just such massive landmarks of the earth that can't be moved, but you could just ice cream and feathers, you can move them with a punch. And so she sees life as a paper tiger, something that's so easily conquered. You just have to wise up and face up to it. And in life, it's what's happening when you're busy making other plans. It's getting in the way of her son. And then, in the second half, it gets a bit more straight, a bit more forward with you, kind of bringing life and love in the forefront. And, it makes you believe in the silver screen, and the fairy tales that kind of you're living with love, and kind of like Chelsea Morning, how she just thought life was. She just wants to live in that, but with other songs we saw, she's seen the other side of that, of love. And so now that she has seen it, she, in one sense, she feels like she does know life. She knows the ups, she knows the downs, she knows the wins, she knows the losses, but she's still alive. She's still walking. It's not while she's been hurt, she's felt the lowest of lows and the highest of highs, she's still floating in this illusion of life. And there's kind of, she ends it perfectly. I really don't know life at all, because you think you think you know so much about something because you have some experience, but you're not at the end of it. So I think it's a really beautiful song, of course. Definitely the best on the album. But that is the final track, and just some final thoughts. I think this is a very strong album. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I came close to a 5. I do think there are some tracks that maybe work better conceptually, and a little on the B side. I think is slightly weaker, but with tracks like Chelsea Morning, The Gallery, Roses Blue, and then Both Sides Now, this is just an amazing album. We will be back for, I think, For the Canyon is next, but thank you.